It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh, let's review.
We'll analyze the scene
Sounds holly jolly to me.
before it's over. Let's begin.
Bum.
Bum.
That's right, folks. Since the Christmas season is upon us, we thought the way to celebrate and get into the holiday spirit would be with some holiday reviews.
Well, to be exact, actively divided into four categories for your Yuletide pleasure.
So, without further ado, silver up those bells, light the multicolored lights, and go out and build a snowman. And join us as we get into some seasonal shenanigans.
Woo!
And tonight we are unlocking the first of our movie category, unwrapping, I should say. Daddy's Home 2.
Of our sequel category, yes.
Oh, sequel. My bad. Yeah, yeah. So, Dragon, this is I believe this is the second time in seasonal shenanigans history where we've covered the sequel before we got around to covering the original movie.
Yes.
And, the first time was, of course, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. I still maintain that that film is better than the original Home Alone. At the very least, more ambitious.
Yes, definitely more ambitious, yeah.
And I don't think the word ambition and the Daddy's Home franchise belong in the same universe as each other, frankly, Dragon.
Not really. No. You would be correct in saying that, yes.
All right, so I have not seen the first Daddy's Home. Honestly, the only thing that really compels me to ever check it out is Bill Burr in a slightly extended role, apparently, from his cameo in this movie.
Pretty much.
But this movie, Dragon, of course, you brought it to my attention, and this kind of like you and I kind of had fun sort of anticipating this movie kind of in spite of ourselves, where it had a great cast. It was definitely this year's oh shit, I already forgot what the title of that Cranston James Franco movie was.
Why him?
Why him?
No, I'm not commentating on the careers of those actors. So just why? You're like, why Franco and why are guys in this movie? Why? But no, it's called.
So it's kind of like I feel like this is a better movie than Why Ham, honestly, but it also had a pair of co-stars that kind of sparked our interest. Mel Gibson, of course, is Mark Wahlberg's father, and more importantly, the great John Lithgow is an older Will Ferrell. Well, not an older Will Ferrell, but like a Will Ferrell father figure, and that was perfect casting to me. So we figured this would be kind of like a Why Him, where it's got a couple really good leads in it, but it's not going to be anything great. And yeah, we're pretty much right.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd say by far out of the stuff we've covered so far on seasonal shenanigans, Dragon, this year, this is by far the weakest movie.
uh yeah, I don't know. I think there's another contender we're gonna get to, this is not the strongest one by no means. No, it's I don't know. It might be another contender for what the weakest sauce one is this year, but we'll see.
I mean, generally speaking, my thesis on this is that the cast works. The cast has chemistry with each other for sure. I especially like some of the moments with the kids, but that's just it, Dragon. It's moments, and specifically Act Two in this movie. We'll get into this more when we get into Naughty and Nice, but man, you could literally cut any of the sequences Act Two together in any order, and it wouldn't change the story at all. Act Two is literally a series of sketch comedy shorts.
Pretty much.
So yeah, that's it. I mean, it's not a great movie by any means, but it does have a certain amount of charm to it, and it does have a couple big laughs for me. There's definitely redeeming things about this movie. It's not terrible by any means.
All right, so let me tell you this. So this is a movie where I believe it came out last year, right? It was 2017.
Yes.
Yes, it came out last year, like around the holidays, apropos enough. So this is an example of a trailer to me last year, like early in the year, whenever the trailer came out. It was an example of a trailer so good. I watched I watched the first film in anticipation for this movie because I remember I hated the marketing on the first days and I had no care in the world. Like, okay, I can see exactly where this movie's going. I have no intention of seeing this, so again, I like let the first movie go by the wayside. It's like it's pairing these two great actors together, but no, like again, the prime mecca of
I mean, that's
pairing
kind of surprising that you'd just be so against it because I know you're a big fan of the other guys, which I still have yet to check out.
which was my point I was getting to, is that I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
these.
Sorry.
You have Mark Whalberg and Will Ferrell, these two guys. When they're magic when they're paired together, and you have a director that knows how to work these guys. Adam McKay being the prime example. I can't get enough of the other guys. It's great. So these two guys, I know they can work together. And essentially, the Daddy's Home franchise had the light bulb moment of like, let's pair them together for another movie. Go figure. Unfortunately, it's not Adam McKay doing the pairing together, and definitely something's off in that equation because they're not like someone who just he's basically getting them together, but no story, no kind of cleverness to kind of keep that momentum going. That's been the downfall of the franchise. The point is, so that first movie, the trailer, basically it's one of those trailers of the first movie where it's like, okay, shenanigans take place, and it telegraphs exactly how the first movie is going to be. It's going to be a one-upsmanship movie where it's like nothing really clever. It's just okay, just shenanigans like crashing a motorcycle through a wall. It's pretty much the movie. Like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to see that movie. It's like again, it's an insult just to the other guys and insults. It's like, come on, I want to see movies with these two guys, but better movies with these two guys. So so I saw that trailer. I was like, but again, so Daddy's Home 2. I'm in the movies, and when you're in a movie and you always have those trailers you can't avoid sometimes. Like, okay, Daddy's Home 2. It's like, oh boy, Daddy's Home 2.
Dragon, this year I got to rant really quick when you're talking about trailers. The trailer that I've been getting over and over and over again, even for movies that are like inappropriate to have this trailer in front of it, like Halloween, for example, fucking Welcome to Marwin, man. I am so sick of that trailer, and that trailer literally telegraphs every story beat of the whole movie. It's like, oh, yeah, the bar, and then he has this art project that kind of helps him cope, and he falls in love with the girl, but he has PTSD issues, which all these other chicks in his life have to help him figure out through the power of his art. And then at the end of the movie, there's a conflict. Oh no, is he gonna go to the courtroom to confront the people that beat him up? Oh no, I wonder if they're gonna. Oh wait, no, it shows him literally standing up there and giving a big speech. That's probably how the movie ends.
All right, to be
the shit out of me, Dragon. They really do.
To be fair, that's kind of more of like a whole based on a true story kind of downfall every trailer for a biopic or a based on a true story movie has. So to me, I think it's kind of apples and oranges on that one. Let's not get into that here. The point is,
even if it's based on a true story, it's not like this is like the moon landing or some shit where you know for sure how the ending's gonna go. It's like this isn't a well-known story. I digress.
Anyway, my point is, so again, Daddy's Home, I just had no investment in the franchise at all. It's just okay, it's a studio, it's a forced studio comedy. I don't care. So I remember when I saw the trailer for the second one for the first time. It's like okay, pairing these guys together again. But then the trailer started to win me over. Like, okay, they've gotten past the BS of what that first trailer was all about. Bear in mind, I still have not seen the first movie. I was seeing these trailers. It's like, okay, like they're going to be all antagonistic towards each other, yada yada yada. And of course, then they're kind of a little bit more buddy. Like, okay, this is kind of the dynamic I liked from the other guys. That's not bad. All right. And then of course it gets to this mecca of a gag here. We introduce the two of Daddy's Home here, where we have the granddaddies, if you will, where we have the boys' fathers in the airport, and we kind of homage the main gag of the first movie, where it's like the thunderstruck music and everything, where he reintroduced Dusty's more intimidating father, and then the moment where it had me, we introduced John Lithgow. And one, it's like, hey, it's John Lithgow, but two, it's John Lithgow, the most befitting music ever, like this happy-go-lucky. That's what they had me.
Like just waving at random passerbys on the escalator.
And that's the thing. That's where they had me. Or okay, these two guys are getting along, and now here's like it's kind of like more of the same, but in a more interesting way with kind of a better pairing and like almost even better casting in a way. It's like, okay, we're not just borrowing from other movies. We're doing something kind of new and like seeing these two guys back, Gibson and Lithgow. Oh my God! So that trailer, in short, just that trailer, it was. it sold me so much. Like comedically, it seemed like they knew what they were doing. It's set around the holidays. Like, okay, it sounds more like a movie than just a recycled premise. I'm down for it. And so I was looking very forward to the movie, looking forward to it so much. I remember like, hey, well, the first movie's on Amazon. I mean, might as well check it out because kind of build some hype for the second. Because I'm not a madman. I'm not a crazy man. I'm not just going to jump into the second movie without watching the first movie. So I watched the first movie. And it was pretty much like I experienced with that first trailer. But it was, I had a few more laughs than I expected. It was like, okay, at least I had some laughs, but definitely had some weak spots that definitely I feel I was right about in my first impression of that first movie. The point is, so I'm all caught up. I really anticipated the heck out of the second movie. I wasn't able to see it in theaters, but ultimately it took a long time, but I was able to see it earlier this year when it finally came on. Came on Amazon again. Apropos enough, it came on Amazon again. So yeah, that was so again. So the overall, my thesis on Daddy's Home 2 is that it's more solid than the first. Having seen the first movie, it is much more solid than the first movie. Not perfect by any stretch. Still has some of the kind of systemic problems, but again, it's an improvement. I want to make that clear. It's very much a improvement, not perfect, but it's a fun improvement overall. That's the best way of putting it.
Okay.
I guess moving on to the background. Not a lot here, but background primarily is.
Yes, Dragon, regale us with the intimate backstory that rivals that of Apocalypse Now or Toy Story for 2.
Yeah, so well, let's keep it too centric here, okay? I'm gonna tell you the backstory of Daddy's Home 2, which is as gripping as the backstory of the big controversy making Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut.
Oh God,
the Richard Weston. No, seriously, I can't. The two best stories in all filmmaking for me is these: making a Toy Story and the making of the Superman franchise. But again, we don't have time for that right now. But we're gonna so let's talk about Daddy's Home 2 and the very little behind the scenes we know about this movie. I searched, believe me, I searched all over for this. I really couldn't find a lot. Here's as much as I could find.
So can I guess that it has something to do with the fact that the first one was a big hit, and so they were like, "Hey, let's do a second one. Let's just crap it out."
Financially, a hit, yes, and that's at least half of it right there. But yes, basically, there was kind of I believe Daddy's Home started this. Basically, there's kind of a streak of kind of these big, irreverent, kind of parental, crazy movies like Bad Moms and the whole, they'd be Bad Moms. Then of course, the sequels, Bad Moms.
Bad Moms is a movie that I actually really enjoyed, Dragon. If you remember, that was probably my favorite comedy the year that came out.
And that's what I'm getting. I think Daddy's Home gets the foot in the door for those movies. I mean, it could be completely coincidental. I'm not sure. Like they're both like, okay, one about moms being kind of like, a lot of times in Hollywood, scripts just kind of get passed around. They kind of get sat on until they finally, let's give it a shot. Sometimes they just kind of float around there. So it might have been conceived before Daddy's Home. But the idea of like doing these irreverent parental movies. Bad Moms is a little bit more in the irreverent side of things, and Daddy's Home is more of a studio comedy where, again, it's like someone had a script in a trunk and they basically got two name actors, and then they made the movie and it made a lot of money. Therefore, we're doing it again and making a big show of it. Daddy's Home 2, and essentially, that's what happened. So, basically. Sorry, let me rephrase that.
I kind of wish, really quick, the title of this movie would have been Daddy's Home 2, as in TOO.
I forget if they flirted with doing that or not.
So it's like, that would imply like the granddaddies are home too.
God.
Go ahead.
But no, in all seriousness, I get a sense that this movie's made because there's a lot of love for the other guys in the pairing of Mark Whalberg and Will Farrell. And again, they're trying to recapture that spark, but again, with a different director, which, you tell does not recapture the spark or the magic of that movie at all. The chemistry is a little off, but it made a lot of money. And, it's like basically the first movie made a lot of money. It was kind of an movie with a few laughs, and they figure that's like logic enough to make a sequel. Throw some extra star power around and set it around the holidays, and basically have it come out around the holidays. It's kind of the trifecta that gets.
The first movie wasn't a Christmas movie, right?
No.
Okay.
Was not. However, there was, and here's the thing: it may have. Now, I'm reading into this. I don't know. Again, there's a lot of things I'm basically reading into with the making of it here, because again, there's really not a lot there. It's like, okay, we want to do a sequel. That's pretty much all they have for making of. So, the first movie does have a Christmas gag in it. The idea is that Brad, Will Ferrell, kind of spinning out of control, feeling that Dusty is overshadowing him as a father. It's a one-upsmanship movie. He basically tries to kind of steal Dusty's thunder and win points with the kids with this second Christmas. Now, second Christmas is basically just in the middle of summer. He threw a Christmas under the Christmas tree, decorated the whole living room, bought him a pony. It was ridiculous. that's essentially the one.
I figured a pony was involved in the first movie somehow, given a second pony.
So that's the thing. So I wonder if that maybe was the main crux of. They had what they thought was this really funny Christmas gag. Therefore, it's set around Christmas too, just for the heck of it. And it's also hedging your bets, because people want to see a holiday movie. For some weird reason, we don't do as many holiday movies in theaters these days. I don't know if you know. You ever noticing we're kind of lacking big studio holiday movies these days? Usually on Netflix or on TV or tons and tons of Hallmark movies, but rarely do we get the studio movies that we used to.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few of them. There was that one by the Seth Rogen crew a couple of years ago.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
Christmas Party came out a couple of years ago. That was a pretty decent hit. That's
a fair point, but it's kind of like a one and done sort of thing, and rarely not part of a franchise. Again, Bad Moms Christmas, then this. It's usually, if we're doing a franchise, we need.
I mean, if you count stuff like The Grinch.
Okay, that's more. Yeah, it's kind of hard to count that, but I'll count it. Sure, just to bring it up again. Absolutely. Sure.
Basically, Dragon. What I'm getting at is, I think there's like at least one big one a year.
Sure. All right. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. All right. One last.
Of course, last year there was that abomination known as Bad Moms Christmas, which was probably the worst movie of the year.
And that's what I'm getting at. A lot of the time, it feels like what they're doing and what they probably did here is that, okay, if we're going to.
And of course, I'm sorry, just going off of it. Of course, Tyler Perry's probably made like 2 or 3 Medea Christmas movies at this point.
Well, he's made several Medea holiday installments.
Yeah, right.
Forget that. But that's the point I'm getting at as well, Tiki, is that it really feels like when you have a sequel that, again, financially makes sense to make, but critically does not make sense. They have to hedge their bets in some way and kind of balance out the equation and kind of the producing in like kind of the studio mentality, where it's like, okay, well, the first movie, it did good, made us money, but there was something not right. Should we make a better movie? No, let's just do something to make even more money to balance out the lack of critical approval. Let's set around Christmas. People need a holiday movie, sure, and let's get big stars. Like who? Well, let's figure it out. And then here are the stars they were considering before they landed on Lithgow and Mel Gibson. They're considering Robert De Niro and Chevy Chase for the fathers.
Oh, that would have been Chevy Chase in particular would have been really interesting.
It would have been. I'm thinking like he'd play it like when he plays Gerald Ford on Saturday Night Live. That's the way I'm imagining he'd play. However, again, I'm thinking Gerald Ford. However, the no-brainers that he'd be playing Clark Griswold, which would have been interesting actually, kind of a Clark Griswold performance around the holidays. But I don't know, Chevy Chase these days, it's kind of hard to tell what you'd be getting with that. But I saw him in a movie. This year that was really good. He was okay in it, but I'm saying it was a really good movie, which we'll get to when we do our big year-end listing. But we'll get there. Anyway, so that's the background. Really not a lot.
Whalberg was in a really good movie this year, actually, that just recently came out. Instant Family, I actually really enjoyed.
Which, speaking of which, I guess that's the last thing, is that Instant Family, again, something that Daddy's Home, the franchise, kind of opens the door to, like, okay, Whalberg in a comedic father role. Let's propel that. There's a lot. To be
fair, Instant Family is like way, way, way more down to earth and realistic than Daddy's Home.
I buy that, but that's what I'm saying. You see, it's movies, franchises and movies like Daddy's Home or Bad Moms Christmas. Basically, these movies where you just kind of pair big names in a family comedy of some variety, or like kind of not even a family-friendly comedy, but a family-based.
Yeah, I was about to say, like Bad Moms Christmas is not a family movie.
That's what I mean, but like a movie about like moms, family, and parental sort of things. It's like kind of in a movie that's directed towards either adult families or kind of a family-friendly mentality, whichever you want to look at there. You kind of see the strings of Hollywood behind. You kind of see the strings of Hollywood through. Like, okay, we just need to put any number of stars in here and hope they have chemistry. Just roll with it.
Yeah, for sure. This is definitely a studio product by every stretch of the imagination.
Absolutely. So that's all the background. So here's plot.
All right. Oh boy. Okay, Dragon. Hit us with the plot that is more complicated than the Godfather trilogy put together.
All right. Well, if it's a Godfather movie, it's probably Godfather 3. Anyway. Or it's Godfather 3.5, the remastering that nobody wanted to see. Anyway.
Oh god.
Okay, here's the plot for Daddy's Home 2 in all seriousness. Okay, so Daddy's Home 2 essentially goes like this. So Brad and Dusty co-dad their families. In co-dadding their families, they fear that it's ruining the kids' Christmases. You know, and basically kind of like Christmas at a separate house, kind of a divorcee stepdad sort of situation. Like too many Christmases for the kids. They fear their co-dadding is getting in the way of the kids' perfect Christmas. So they plan on one big family Christmas over several, instead of several individual Christmases, Christmas-I, however you want to go about that. The kids called Dusty's father, who joins along with Brad's dad. Which then eventually leads to the idea like, hey, let's have this one big family Christmas at a cabin. Let's do let's go to the cabin. Let's just kind of let's rent a nice cabin for the holidays. So Kurt, who is Dusty's father, and Don, who's Brad's father. Kurt tries to pit the two co-dads against each other. That's the crux. That's a big crux of the movie. There, Kurt's trying to pit the two co-dads against each other, saying, "Oh, you two are buddy. I don't believe any of that," which leads to a lot of shenanigans. Brad's dealing with his father's divorce, which is kind of sidelines him. Meanwhile, Sarah, played by the great Linda, yep, Sarah is trying to protect her daughter Megan from her stepmom's corrupting influence. All of this ultimately is the speed through here. All of this culminating in a disaster, as the first movie did, in a big disaster, followed by a seasonal
A disaster in a literal sense or a physical sense?
Bit of both. Culminating in a disaster followed by a seasonal reconciliation, and that's the movie.
Yeah, not much to it. All right, let's get to the characters.
All right, start with Brad.
So Brad's a man-child that falls down a lot.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's not much to his character other than like he's kind of emotionally stinted for his age, and he's got most of the pratfall humor.
Well, yeah, because basically Brad was the punching bag of the first movie, and they're kind of trying to. Here's the thing. I think they showed a little bit of growth here, where Brad, he and Dusty have gotten past their thing initially. It would seem where he's more comfortable. He's a father to his own child, which is a ridiculous plot line in the first movie. And again, since you haven't seen the first one, you're going to be a little lost on the significance of a little bit of this. You're not missing anything tremendously for the movie, but it's just like a little thing here where. We had this really stupid gag in the first movie where Brad had an injury at the dentist. I know it sounds strange, just go with me on here. He had an injury at the dentist that seemingly prevented him from having children, like sterilized him. And the point is, like, he went to a fertility doctor and everything.
So let me guess. Hold on. I think I know where this is going. All right.
Okay.
So Mark Whalberg shows up. And then his testosterone goes up because of the competition, right?
You're really not far off. I think you're like 90% there. I'm pretty sure that's like I don't know if they specifically said testosterone, but they definitely implied something like that. But yeah, essentially that definitely helped. Something along the lines of that, where when this fertility doctor got them all straightened out, and Dusty definitely had a role to play within that. Anyway, so. Brad as a character now has his own child that he had with Sarah, where now it's like 3 kids instead of the 2 that he was just the stepfather to. Now he has his own kid, his own family that he thought he might never have. So he's more again. The point is he's more comfortable with his position. He's physically a punching bag, but he's emotionally not the punching bag that he was in the first movie. So he's grown a little bit. Still a man-child the instant his father walks back into the fray, though. That's when we send them back to the being, okay, big old man-child. But you kind of see where it came from, though, with the father, the very emotionally open and sensitive father.
Mm-hmm.
And we see cracks in the rosy worldview formed via Dusty and Kurt's friction. Like the minute those, here's the thing: I feel with Dusty and with Brad, the minute their fathers re-enter the picture, their initial failings, their initial faults from the first movie, kind of explode. Where the friction between the father and son of Dusty and Kurt, definitely rubs off on Brad, which of course leads to his own friction he has with his father with a divorce. Taking him to a very childish place, and he gets revenge with like Roger, and and again he kind of ruins Christmas in doing this. So again, it's like Brad ruining Christmas all around.
Yeah, that's the thing, Drayton. I don't have a lot to say about this guy because he's just I don't know, man. I've never been a huge Farrell fan. I mean, Farrell can knock it out of the park when he's really trying to, but this is one where he's just kind of on autopilot.
I think autopilot's the perfect way of putting that. Yes, you definitely have some Will Ferrell and autopilot here in the movie. Yeah.
All right. I do like Dusty a little bit more.
Yes, and this is here's the one thing I gotta say. So again, there's not again if you compare the because these two guys are paired together yet again. It's like okay, so we have Farrell and Whalberg together. I like that Whalberg's more like the elements that I really loved in the other guys in this movie here. Where again he's like Whalberg in a when he's not a bully. That's the thing. We have Whalberg not as a bully in this movie, where he's a bully in the first movie. I love when Mark Wahlberg plays in the comedy, and because I think he does comedy.
I love the Cocoa pleasantries in this movie.
That's what I'm saying, and that's the thing that sold me in the trailer too. That's how the trailer started with the Coco thing. It was like, oh my god, yeah, we made so much progress from what that first movie was. And again, that's like the Mark Wahlberg I loved in the other guys, and a little bit of like what I loved about him in Ted. Mark Wahlberg plays comedy really good because he's such like a non-comedic type, but he does it so well. It's like he's made for it, and that's the thing. Like he's grown quite a great deal. He's much more friendlier. He's evolved, the new evolved Dusty, as the movie puts it.
I feel like Dusty really is kind of the straight man in this movie.
That's the thing. Wahlberg plays a great straight man in comedy, like the guy who doesn't know that he's funny but being hilarious. That's where Wahlberg's kind of at home here, and in this movie, interestingly, he's in the position that Brad was in the first movie, and that was the big kind of ha-ha gag at the end of the first movie. Like, okay, the stepdad comes, and now he's exactly in Brad's shoes, where he's now the stepdad. And he was having difficulty with Adriana and the more testosterone fueled biological father in Roger.
Biological father.
Adriana's biological father. Yes.
Watch the Red Letter Media video called "Red Letter Media Loves Rogue One" if you want to know what I'm talking about, folks.
Yes, but I mean, again, this is the thing I think the movie has a better command over that we didn't get in the first movie. I think kind of any character defects I think have a little bit more resonance here than they had in the first movie, where again we see Dusty has daddy issues. So we get it if you really look in the full scope of things, which you don't need to, but if you do, it's kind of neat that Dusty. You understand why Dusty was so much of like a cold-hearted bully in the first movie, because you see how his dad is, and you see the daddy issues that he's suffering from. It's like it kind of makes sense. It's like this is because the Dusty he was the best way of putting it is that Dusty was exactly like his father, that he walked out on the family, and then he basically came back into the fray, which gave us the first movie, him coming back into the fray. And you see where it came from. Where again, he's a proponent of kind of the neglectful full circle, if you will. It's kind of the snake eating its own tail of his own family, where the man becomes his father sort of story. But in the end, I love that he kind of like Brad. He kind of comes around to not become his father, but he comes a little bit more like Brad, where he comes around to show his emotions on his sleeve. And he's kind of all together by the end of the movie, which I think kind of shows a lot of growth for Dusty. Dusty definitely grew a lot in the movie, which is good.
Right, so let's get to Kurt, a.k.a. Mel Gibson. Can we just call him Mel Gibson and John Lithgow, honestly?
Well, okay, so the thing about Kurt, so here's the funny thing. The best way I can describe Kurt in this movie is and the thing cracks me about Kurt in this movie is that it's Mel Gibson playing Mel Gibson. That's exactly what it is. It's Mel Gibson not even knowing that he's playing a character. It's like the only acting that Mel Gibson's really doing. I don't mean this in a negative way, it's just Mel Gibson basically coming on set, and just responding to a different.
He just came on set and he's just kind of like responding to how corny this dynamic is between Farrell and Whalberg. He's just like, oh, geez, is this what comedies are nowadays?
It's basically him getting a front row seat to like instead of watching the movie, he's like participating while watching in the movie. That's pretty much what Gibson's doing here. And
It's like one of those DVDs where you get to like choose what scene you go to, like a choose your own adventure DVD.
It's like imagine the next era in filmmaking, Tiki, will be when you can actually step into the movie and just be there in the movie, watching the movie unfold. That's what the future holds for us, and that's
exactly what Gibson is trying out here. Honestly,
Gibson's living the dream. He's living kind of the Jetsons future of it all right now. He's literally stepping into the movie again. He's just like top billing, okay, all right, and he will. No, but all seriously, yeah, I think Gibson even knows he's not really playing a character here, but he's just having fun. It kind of like it's infectious. It is. It's just he does have a few, and this was refreshing for me. I love that I was watching the movie. He had a few Riggsisms, kind of like Martin Riggs from Lethal Weaponisms, where it's just like the gun gag during the hunting later on. It's like when he a gun's pointed in his face and like, hey, get that out of my face. That's Martin Riggs from Lethal Weapon. Like that's the Mel Gibson I love. It's like they have those little like moments there again, even though again it's been.
I think the hunting scene is probably one of my favorite scenes with him.
Sure, and that's the thing. Like Gibson, he's no spring chicken. No chicken run pun intended, but welcome. He's no spring chicken, but I do. I do like that you can kind of see him you kind of see those age old like that's what made Gibson's career right there. You can kind of glimpse a few of those as the movie goes on. It's kind of fun, It's like, oh, look at him there. And that's the thing. He loves that everyone's fighting and then the conflict. And he's just basically like the most cynical audience member, just kind of laughing at everybody's misfortune. That's what he is. And he brings. I think he brought the classic Gibson charm. There's no remorse at all by the end of the movie, which is kind of hilarious. Like, again, the guy feels no remorse. He's not making any apologies for who he is. He doesn't learn a thing. Like, the only thing he learns is to say that he loves his son in some way, shape, or form. That's about it. That's like the only growth he makes. Basically, he makes a little bit more of an effort. That's all he's got. That's about all he learns in the movie. And he just basically, Mel Gibson, I think, kind of feels like the dad, or more accurately to the audience, I think he feels like the uncle. He's like the dad or uncle who won't change, and you kind of love him for it. It's just kind of that.
I can see that. Yeah. I just love the El Padre running gag.
It's the gruff granddad. That's what he is. The gruff grandpa. That's kind of the stage we're at with Mel Gibson in this movie. El Padre.
Dawn and Dragon, you're not going to like what I have to say. Oh, boy. I think that the character, like, don't get me wrong. I love John Lithgow, all right? I love John Lithgow.
Everybody loves John Lithgow.
I think the character itself was just... I don't know, man. There's something just really, really off-putting about the way that Dom and Farrell interact. I'm not a big fan of the kissing on the lips at all. I mean, I get that it's supposed to be kind of gross out. I don't know, man. I just think it's a little too overbearing in this movie, even for Lithgow. Like, it kind of reminds me of something like this is where we're veering into why him territory, where it's a really good actor just stuck with some bad material, in my opinion. Of course, they do give him a nice subplot with the divorce and everything, and that's all well and good. It gives a little more depth to the character, but I don't know, man. I just found, like, honestly, the easiest way to put my feelings about this character is, I hate to say it, but I found myself cringing at him more than laughing at him.
Hmm. Well,
I love Lithgow, man. I'm not saying that lightly.
Let me put it to you this way. I get where you're coming from, and I don't think you're wrong there's definitely some cringy moments with him, and I don't know, like the kiss gag. I mean, again, it's part of like the thing from the trailer too. It's like, it's like, okay, we summarize, there's basically he's Brad times 10. That's essentially what the father is, where you see where it came from. He's coddling, he's the coddling, sensitive parent, but completely oblivious to the overshare. But I feel, while we do go cringy on a few places, there's one scene in the movie which we'll get to in not. I don't want to bury the lead too much on the cringy Don. I think you're on the right path. I don't want to talk about all of it right now. Is what I'm
saying. Okay.
We do have some cringy stuff with him, but talking about some of the better qualities of it at the moment. I like that Lithgow did bring. I think for the most part, I think Lithgow brought the magic and the charm. of just kind of that parent with nothing but love and sincerity. I think he communicated that really well. Where just it's a guy he's a completely oblivious to any cynicism in the room. Where he's full of love and sincerity. You gotta he's the guy in the sweater. That's profoundly.
I like that literally everyone in the movie kind of comes around to him. Like even Adriana has that moment towards the end, which is adorable.
I know, and I love that moment so much. I really do. It's a great moment. But that's the thing. Like, it's just
Gibson's even on his side by the end of the movie.
That's what I'm saying. You see, kind of everybody, kind of even Roger later on. Like everybody's kind of gravitating towards the Lithgow charm. It's so infectious. He's the cuddly guy in the sweater. It's who he is. You never know. You never know he's a terrifying murderer of threes in Dexter. Look at this man. You never know he's the Trinity killer. You never know. But with that too, I love that there's an underlining. I wish they would have done more with this, but I think there you can see an underlining strength and insecurity to him. Like I think the best moment I could use to explain this is the nice tree bit where they're all bickering and you see Don, who again he's hiding some stuff underneath the surface. Again, the turmoil, the divorce, and everything, it's boiling under the surface. And I think it's like the closest moment we get to kind of that Trinity from Dexter performance that John Lithgow is capable of. And again, it just speaks to how good an actor John Lithgow is on just one little moment where they're all kind of bickering with each other and Gibson's like eating it up like, oh, look at these co-dads. What a laugh. As he's having a grand old time. He says, it's a nice tree, okay?
Right.
It's a beautiful tree. It's like, yeah, that's the Lithgow I know, buddy boy. That's my Lithgow. Yeah. Turmoil, strife. All under the veneer of a sweater. Love it. But I mean, yeah. So we see Brad has put him on a pedestal that Don has been put on, an impossible pedestal for anyone to contend with. And he's hiding the divorce from Brad, which leads to a sense of betrayal. And it's again, it's who he, and basically the main takeaway I guess with Don is that he is who he is, and you love him for it. Like he's a guy who doesn't need the change, and you kind of that's what everybody we just kind of. He's the static character in all, I think it shows.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. Can we lump Sarah and Karen together, possibly?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Okay.
All right. So Sarah played by Linda Cardellini. She's better. Trust me when I say this, Tiki. She's much better than she was in the first movie. Because the first movie, if you watch that movie, you're going to say, "Oh, look, Linda Cardellini. How delightful!" And then you're realizing, oh, she's just kind of showing up to be there. She's not really reading this.
Right.
You get a sense where she was really polite and she said the lines that were presented to her. She didn't really question them. Because again, we know Carlene can be really good in things. She can be. Look, I haven't seen everything Linda Cardellini's done, but I've seen her in things that I've liked.
If she's good enough for Hawkeye, she's good enough for me, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like again, she's good enough for you. Whether again, it's like she brings it when usually she brings it. In that first movie, believe me when I say, it's like it's a character who's oblivious to how kind of one-sided and just kind of by the book stereotypical they are. That's really that character in a nutshell. Where like literally a plot point is like she becomes baby crazy, and that's the whole like Griffey saying why we have the third kid here. Where the whole like, well, you have two kids. Why do you need a third kid? Like, why is this a big sticking point with you? Why do you want it? It's just like turns on a dime. It's like, okay, they're having an argument, baby. Oh boy, I'm not mad about anything anymore. It's just a baby. This is ridiculous. But here, I think comparatively, she's much better than the first movie. She's an actual parent, and she's paranoid about the step family influencing her daughter in a negative way. So, okay, actual parent who's there, good.
Yeah, it was a decent conflict. I feel like it kind of, she's mostly just there to illustrate, the difficulties with Teddy and, no, I'm sorry, Teddy.
You're thinking of Christmas Chronicles.
Yes, I am. I'm sorry.
Dylan.
The difficulties with Dusty and, and Adriana, she's kind of there to kind of highlight how difficult Adriana is, mostly.
Yes, but also Karen too.
And she's also kind of like the logical person in the room who's calling out all the craziness.
She is, and I do like there's this really sweet bit with her, which I think shows again a lot of growth compared to where she was in the first movie, where she's defending the weirdness a little bit. Like later on in the third act, something really weird happens, which we'll talk about when we get to Naughty and Nice. And she's like, oh, we get a baby, and she's being the consummate mother who's defending her kids no matter what weird stuff they do. So again, that's a good again. She's an actual, because that's the thing, Tiki. In that first movie, she's really not. She basically all the responsibility falls onto Brad, yet she's the mother who has final say. Yet she's not really being a mother in that movie, which is ridiculous.
Mm.
It's like kind of like the Skylar White book of parenting almost. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, it's like if Dr. Lipschitz had a book, the complete opposite unhelpful book would be would be the Skylar White book of parenting. All right. And Karen is just to reflect a little bit of Sarah here. Is that Karen? The idea is she's the irresponsible parent. She's kind of the bad influence. The idea is all the stuff Adriana's working with is stemming from what Karen's doing, and of course the stuff that Megan's in danger of doing stems from the two of them.
Dragon, you're gonna love this. The actress kind of reminds me of like the middle child in our little family tree of Gal Gadot and Elodie Young.
Oh God. Remember, we had Katrina Law. Wasn't she the middle?
Oh God, I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because we have.
Fuck it. There's 4 sisters now.
Okay, come on. I wouldn't. Look, let's not overemphasize the importance of Karen here. Let's not jump to any. Because I've met Nisa Al Ghul. She's really nice, and she's deserving of that spot there. I don't want to just give it to Karen blindly here.
All right.
But yeah, you basically Karen, in a nutshell, she's a female version of Dusty, which is what Dusty married at the end of the movie, and that's pretty much what for what Sarah's contending with. If Sarah's the Brad-like mother, then Karen is the Dusty-like mother, and that's kind of what they're kind of butting heads a little bit there. But I guess what we see at the end is that Karen actually does respect Sarah on some level. She's been writing nothing but complimentary things about Sarah, but still doing the psychological kind of mind games.
I did really like that gag, the running gag with the notebook. That was funny.
It drives me nuts too. I gotta be honest. Like that would drive me nuts too. Yeah, like constantly writing things down just wouldn't drive me. And say that's the thing. See, that's the thing where Linda Carlene came alive in the movie for me, where she didn't in the first movie, where she's in a relatable position of like, oh God, look at how nuts she's being driven by this other mom who's like, she was doing all this sorts of stuff. All right. Okay, let's talk about Roger.
All right. I mean, there's not much here. I mean, he's kind of just John Cena. He shows up in the third act like, hey, y'all, I'm John Cena.
I love that. I like that we didn't just kind of write John Cena off as like an ending to the first movie. I like that he actually has a little bit of a role in the movie here where he comes back at just the right point in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's, I love it. I like it when John Cena gets to play comedy too. John Cena he's just big. He's this teddy bear who deep down with the kids, he's this teddy bear. It's who he is, and I like that he's pleasant to everybody but Dusty. He's rather nice to. He's really nice to Don, and he's nice to he's nice to Brad, I guess, comparatively. But he's a nice guy to everybody but Dusty. There's definitely a lot of friction in the whole. Basically, what if the actual father was so much more intimidating than? Well, again, it's kind of literally what Dusty was connected with in the first movie. It's like the shoe was on the right foot now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. I mean, he's more than just uber Dusty, if you will. That's what I'm saying. Like, we gave him a little bit more dimension in this movie. Not a lot, but it's again, it's like
he
it shows
like
he's not
a good dad.
That's the thing. He seems like a really nice guy when it comes to the kids.
Yeah.
He just seems like he cares, like he loves his daughter.
Like, if anything, I feel like Karen is the problem parent in that relationship.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
All right. That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it.
I honestly thought the kids were probably my favorite part of the movie, if I'm being honest.
I gotta tell you, I expected you to be much harder on the children.
No, man. I mean, I don't know. Megan especially had a lot of laughs, so we'll get to it in one of my favorite scenes, but I also really like her in the, her bloodlust in the hunting scene was really funny.
Well, let me tell you this about that girl. So, Megan, played by, I believe it's Scarlett Estevez.
She was in one of your shows that you.
I know it. Okay, let's see if you can figure it out. What do you got?
Oh no! Just tell me. I just looked it up on IMDb recently.
Yeah, she's in Lucifer, and she's really good in Lucifer.
Right.
He plays in that show. It's Chloe and Lucifer. The characters Chloe and Lucifer, they're partners, and Chloe is a single. She's a divorced parent, and she's the divorced parent of the Megan character here. I'm sorry, Trixie. The girl's name in that show is Trixie. I'm just like she has like a nickname for. She calls her Monkey all the time. So it's like Trixie, little cute little girl. She's really good little actress in that show. It's always she has like a dynamic with like one of Lucifer's friends, Mazikeen, who's really like she's like a demon bounty hunter. It's like really good stuff. It's just that's my point. So again, I remember from that show. And even when I was watching the first one, it was like blown like, oh my god, that's the kid from Lucifer. What do you know? Oh, yeah. And again, that's the thing. You're right. So she's my favorite of the kids, and you're right. We definitely get to see her do some
really. I did think the subplot with Dylan was endearing until we got to the resolution of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I thought it was set up well, but they really struck out at the end there.
Before we'll get to that later. Trust me. But with Dylan, I do like that we continued where the first movie with the base of the big Bill Burr payoff of it all. By the way, ties into the boy. Dylan was having at the very end of the first Daddy's Home. Dylan was having some girl trouble, and we kind of continued that for this movie. So that was a good starting place where we kind of pick up the baton the last movie left off there. So again, I like that we kind of gave him that very relatable kid thing, and we kind of continued that. And I just echo your thoughts of things. Definitely, the train tipped over a little bit by the end of the movie. That story, but I think Dylan gets. Writing wise, Dylan's the hardest out of the kids. I feel, I imagine, and I feel that's where they kind of ran out of steam. And I think it shows in the movie. We'll get there. Okay. And Adriana, she's this little spoiled nightmare, but she has a soft spot for Don, which is adorable. It's the cutest part of the whole movie.
Honestly, she's like a live action Angelica Pickles.
Yes, but less evil.
Like specifically all grown up Angelica Pickles.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's a better comparison. Yeah, but I mean, the cutest thing to me, Tiki, is just the fact that all these scenes where we have like Don lean over and just kind of talking her ear off incessantly, just doing his Don thing, and it seems like but she's there in those scenes, just on her phone. But the idea is she was listening all those times while she was on her phone, and she loves them. That's so cute. It's so wonderful. Anyway, so then of course there's a little Griffey who's just he's cute, I guess. That's about it.
Yeah, take him out of the movie and it's the exact same movie, let's be honest.
Yep, it's like we have like it's like a little runaway inner tube.
Really be honest here.
It's like all we get with the kids, like, hey, there's a little runaway inner tube gag, right?
Yeah, right.
We needed that, right? Yeah.
All right. So let's get to naughty and nice. Do you want to address the elephant in the room right away?
Yeah, let's start with the naughty here because we'll get positive with the nice stuff. Let's talk about the naughty. So let's start right off the bat with one of the biggest, weirdest, naughtiest things.
All right, take it away, Dragon. Take it away. I'll let you have the floor with this.
All right. So let's just say there are two scenes in this movie that are one's really cringeworthy, and the other one is just really sick and wrong yet cringeworthy. And the other one is sick and wrong yet cringeworthy is Dylan. So the crux of the movie is that Dylan, there's this girl that he sees while he's at the cabin, and he's like, it's like a summer crush, if you will. It's like a crush around the holidays. He sees this girl, and it's like he wants to work up the moxie to go over there and say hi to the girl, and etc. But every time he locks eyes with this girl and they play the romantic music, Adriana and Megan, imitating Adriana, are making fun of the brothers. Like, Dylan's got a girlfriend. Again, very Angelica Pickles-esque. And Adriana's like, she's taking shots and just making him uncomfortable. But every time the kid just tries to put himself out there, she just makes him regret it. And if to the undiscerning viewer, initially you'd think, okay, well, if they weren't related, or if they weren't like something like that, you think, okay, that might be like a little like you bully the ones you love sort of thing. Like kind of almost like a Helga Pataki sort of angle here. But certainly their family, they never do anything with that. And so we get to the third act, we get to the movie, we have the big Dylan payoff. Okay, there's the girl. Adriana, the idea is like, the girls have given Dylan a little window here where they're holding Dylan. Megan and Adriana are holding Dylan under the missile on his holding the girl under this little mistletoe thing. So again, it's Dylan's big moment. He's going to go in for the kiss. All the adults are fighting. The fighting's going to stop because it's the big magic moment. All right, and then they're really proud of this. It would suggest.
Are they really?
I'm saying the way again they romanticize this gag so much, and the way this pays off, like the big kind of big comedy, kind of whammo blammo moment of comedy here. So you imagine they got to be really proud of this because again they stop everything in the third act for this moment. So it's a big moment in the movie apparently when you really think about it. Dylan goes over and he kisses not the girl he's been kind of locking eyes with, but the girl who's been in all of those scenes as well. His stepsister Adriana, which, yes, folks, kissed the boy. The boy kissed his stepsister.
Yeah, and you know what, Dragon? At this point, it's like, okay, it's kind of gross, but we could at least redeem it with the reactions, right? We could maybe get some good reaction humor out of this, and then what happens?
Well, basically, John Cena, John Cena basically voices
John Cena's reaction is genuinely funny, I think.
Yes, John Cena basically voices the audience's thoughts of like, oh my
God. Like, I'm so done with all you fucking people.
It's just basically they're all horrible. I'm sorry, Diaz. I'm beyond words. So I got the John Cena part of this. I'm just saying, like, we have, Sarah here, like, defending it. It's like, it's still a sweet moment. He's a little confused, but
I mean, that's the thing, man. If they would have just ended it with John Cena's reaction, then it would have been like, all right, you know what? Maybe that was a little bit too subversive of a gag, but fuck it. John Cena got some charming stuff to do out of it. So but no.
I mean, look, and regardless, then looking at Sarah's reaction there, she's defending the weirdness, which is it's an endearing motherly quality. But when you really stop and think, it's like, yeah, that's not really. This is
healthy. Not something you should be defending. This is something you should sit down and have a serious talk with your kid about.
Exactly, and it's again, folks. Unless you can't get away with a storyline like this unless it's Bates Motel. Trust me, folks, you can't get away with something like this. Only two things can get away with something like this. Okay, Bates Motel or Star Wars. Unless you're either of the two, this is not the opportunity to try
Game of Thrones
something.
potentially. Maybe I don't know. I'm not a big enough Game of Thrones fan to really know.
All right, fine. If you want to get into screwed up medieval history, then sure, Game of Thrones. My point being, it's kissing I think at the end of the day, sick, wrong, whatever, kissing the stepsister is still a little weird. Still a little too weird for me, at least. Okay, they try to buy it back where Adriana's not scarred for life by it, and they basically line up like a whole number of kids.
That also pissed me off, man. That almost pisses me off more than the mother's reaction to it, to be honest with you. Because, being a supportive mother to your kid is one thing, but, literally rewarding the kid for his creepo behavior, that's not great.
Here's the thing. They're trying to be next level. Here's the thing. This whole kiss and the stepsister gag, they're basically, what they're trying to do in essentially a family movie is they're trying to be edgy, which just feels like a weird idea to do of a Christmas movie that is also a family movie and also a sequel. We're going to go to the place where no one thought we would go. And then we're just going to keep pushing the boundaries. Because then we have a boy in line. It's like, okay, guys, look, there's next level. And then there's you don't want to.
Oh God, I forgot about that. Oh Jesus.
And I mean, look, whatever you're trying to say, regardless, you don't want to try all of that in a sequel studio comedy around the holidays. And as in the third act, you don't want to try all of that at once. That's not a good idea.
Yep.
None of that's going to go well. So the point is just that's probably the most weird. Well, that's the one of the two biggest scenes that are just kind of weird.
All right. Well, what's the other big one for you? I'm curious.
Okay, so the one I believe you and I have been circling around also is the big Lithgow moment. I think the most cringy Lithgow moment in the whole movie is the improv night gone wrong.
Yes.
So we have this improv night gone wrong. The idea is we've been hyping up how funny Lithgow is. And you have a lot of dad jokes, and the dad jokes funny enough. And basically him being paired with Mel Gibson, telling him all these dad jokes, and he's just not having any. But that's funny enough. But again, we've overhyped the comedy of it all here, and he's been just getting into improv. So he's not even a huge improv guy. He's just been getting into it, finding hobbies since the divorce, ideally. And Brad has signed his father up for this, and we do this weird. I'm pretty sure it's like a real improv group, or at least people who are somewhat trained in improv. And I think this is like a real thing where you basically do like these little alligator arms things. Right? You wear this big blanket or something. You have like these little weird arms, and basically the other guy's improvising your hand movements as you're improvising a scene. One of those things. And we basically turn into like an affair going on here, and we have this weird thing where again it's like I just feel Lithgow he's bringing it, but in the wrong type of movie. That's what I think. I think it's like this scene belongs in a different movie where again you can have some like a big psychologically traumatizing scene, but here it just feels really tonally imbalanced, and I think it shows. I think it makes it really uncomfortable where he's basically he's tapping into the real feelings of his divorce and he and his wife separating in this comedic setting, and Brad's not getting it until the whole scene just kind of the belly of the scene falls out where everyone finds out like, oh, this is based in real life now. Like it's basically the big reveal to Brad that his parents have gotten a divorce since he's seen them last. And then Brad, like he's just again, it's like he's not playing into the improv at all. It's just like, no, this is all real. It's like, okay, this is really uncomfortable, really cringy. And to me, that's the one scene I really can't watch for a second time in this movie. It's like, God, it's so makes me feel so strange, man. I don't like it.
Now you know how I feel about the mixed tone sometimes, Dragon, because you just illustrated that my issue with that exactly.
Well, sometimes that's not an excuse for some of the shows you've told me you've been hesitant about. I'll give you that much, but I'll agree with you. It's definitely a prime example of mixing going
okay.
wrong.
Other minor nitpicks I have with this movie. Well, this one isn't minor. Like I said, you do agree with me, right? That the second act of this movie in particular, like the set pieces, a lot of them are funny, but it's just like there's no rhyme or reason to the order of any of them happening in. It's just funny gags for the sake of having funny gags.
That's true, and I think that might be like a systemic thing where again, there's no we're just doing various comedic set pieces, and they're very interchangeable. I think it's something the first movie had as well. So I think it's just something they're kind of stuck with, and they still have not figured out a way out of that, which is unfortunate. Yeah. I mean, it seemed pretty consistent with the way the movie was going anyway. But I mean, yeah, you're right. It is something kind of off about the movie too. But it didn't really get in the way of it for me there. But I see it. Yeah.
Okay.
We really contrived the low of lows. We really contrived this low of lows, then the instant reconnect. We're okay. They both had it with each other, and they're all going home.
I think the fucking ending of this movie is kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you.
I mean, that's the thing. It's such a fast reconnect.
It really is, man. I mean, the ending of this movie doesn't really resolve much of anything that the plot actually sets forth, to be honest.
Yep. We have this. I'm not crazy about the big song they chose. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but the big Christmas song that John Cena loves, that that Roger loves, that basically supposed to bond everybody together. I mean, of all the Christmas songs they could have picked, like why not? It's not. I think it's more of a subjective thing. I'm not crazy about it. Oh, the foot gag. I don't like the foot gag. The weird postal foot gag. Like you remember the?
I didn't. Yeah, that was another kind of gross out, awkward Lithgow bit.
Yep. I don't. Here's the thing, T. I could be completely. Maybe it's just me, but I want to get your thoughts on this. I didn't get the appeal of the manger thing at all. Like you want one of your big like, hey, we're gonna go do some Christmas stuff at the cabin. One of the big things that we have to like sign up for is standing still in a manger, being stared at by people. Like,
okay, I totally agree with you. That is just it's something that it's like, what the fuck? But I want to address Dragon just the whole this movie is a very like upper class white people movie, and there's something kind of a little uncomfortable about that, where it's the whitest of white people doing the most upper class elitist rich people things. You know what I mean? It's like it's one of those Hollywood movies where it's just like it kind of reminds me of the whole running gag of like we just magically booked the Airbnb, like, and I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like the running gag of like how do the friends afford the apartment they stay in? You know what I mean? It's like they're living a little too lavishly in this movie.
You know what's funny though? In the first movie, they had more directly a version of exactly what you're talking about, where they tried to do kind of racism humor, and it just did not play at all. Well, they had Hannibal Barrera, Hannibal Buress. God,
Uh-huh.
never pronounce that guy's last name. Darn it! But yeah, they have him in the movie as this really kind of character, and they keep making a thing where it's the idea's like, oh, Brad can't do anything. Like anything Brad says, he's screwed in the scene. Like, oh, one of those gags, and it's like, and Dusty's saying, "Oh, Brad, you're so racist." Like, I'm not being racist. There's a reason. And it's just like, why are we trying this? It's oh god, like they tried. It's kind of ironic.
But you get what I'm saying? Where there seems to be like almost like an elitist upper class tone to this movie with the stuff that they do. Like the fact that they're just willing to drop $20,000 on a Christmas tree, and it's just not even that big of a deal.
Yeah. Again,
that
money
really bothers me, man. It really bothers me when like my income for the year is like 30,000. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I have a great job or anything. So but I don't know. It feels a little insensitive, and you know what I mean. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little too overly political with this, but
right. Well, you also had like a money thing in the first movie. Basically, whenever they try to do the financial aftermath of these shenanigans, I feel like they're getting bogged down in the details too much. Where I think here they did a better job at it than the first movie. The first movie, they're just like it's a huge sticking point, like how much you paid for like year-round Lakers tickets, and it's like, okay, this is just really not. Yeah, it's very physically irresponsible. I get it, but why are we trying to apply aftermath to like a movie where a motorcycle goes into a house and goes through a wall? Like, why are we trying to apply this now? Sarah and Karen's thing, the whole Sarah versus Karen dynamic felt a little bit repetitive and cliche. Where the idea again, they kind of dipped a toe into what the first movie annoyed me with, where it's like, okay, anything this one character does, just they can't get anything over the other character. Because I've seen that so many times, and again, like rinse and repeat, where she's shoplifting and she's getting away with it, and she's getting eyeballed by
it went fucking nowhere.
That's what I mean. It's like
nowhere. That plot line was like, oh my god, that was so dropped.
It was so Marie Schrader-esque.
Yeah, I would say the Marie Schrader thing was way more relevant to the plot of Breaking Bad than this was, and that's not even saying a lot.
Right there. Look, I mean, those are all the major negative. I have one. Well, okay, one other thing we'll talk about when we get to one of your moments. But I mean, aside from that, it's all really the main naughty stuff that I have. Let's talk about some good stuff. Man, I'm so being bogged down by all the naughty. Let's talk about some good stuff in this movie.
There's not a lot of good stuff. I got to be honest with you, Dragon. You'll probably have more than me.
Let me start off with this though. Mistletoe with
chemistry with each other, and the kids are well written. I mean, that's about all I got, to be honest with you.
Mistletoe, the fictional movie Mistletoe, like toe, like T.
Yes, that was fun. That was fun. I'll give you that.
The actual Liam Neeson doing the in the theater. And Liam Neeson saving
that they want to get Liam Neeson for Daddy's Home 3.
Yeah, I know. I hear that too, and they wanted to get him for the third one. I'm down for that. Let's see. Again, they got a great cast, and they do have.
Is he going to be Roger's daddy?
That'd be hilarious. I love that. But again, they've already established Liam Neeson as himself, so it'd be really strange if they did that, though. I wouldn't put it past them, though. I really
just have Liam Neeson just play himself, a la like fucking Lou Ferrigno and I Love You Man.
Maybe. Let's see. So again, we have a great cast with chemistry. Again, at least they have more chemistry with each other here, which is nice. I think that again they fixed many mistakes from the first movie, like Brad and Dusty getting along. So again, the point is overall they've applied certain fixes, which I did appreciate. Again, I think Lithgow and Gibson are in places are hilarious, and I think it shows. Like again, like I think there's some really funny moments, really some really those are those actors. Like those are the things I like about those actors. Really nice. It's a straightforward holiday premise, which I got to give it credit for. Okay, we're doing one together Christmas. It's a very straightforward plot opposed to what the other one was about. I like the moral that co-dadding / the whole mixed family dynamic is difficult. It's kind of a simple moral, but it's an appreciated one. That it's difficult. It's a very complicated situation.
Again, Instant Family is a much better movie about a complicated parenting dynamic, but I'll
take your word on that. I haven't seen it. I'll take your word on it. I do like the running gag of the Thunderstruck entrance. You know, it's still really funny how we just keep bringing that back. Yes, Thunderstruck plays. We have the amazing person coming down the escalator. It's still
Right.
funny. Never again. That's the main thing they had for their. They basically built a franchise on that gag. You know, at least they built my money's worth.
No, you're not wrong. They really did. They're really milking that shit.
And again, I can't really fault them for it because it worked. It got me to see the movie, so again, I can't fault them for it. Here's the reconciliation at the movie theater. I like that set piece. I like setting it at the movie theater, so I do like that.
I do too, and I'm one of those people that. Oh, wait, hold on. I've got a con really quick. I've got a rant about this for a minute. All right.
Okay. So movie theater set piece. I like it. Go with your rant.
Well, it has to do with the movie theater set piece. So.
All right.
Okay, I cannot stand that. Basically, in general, I can't stand when people make a big deal about people going to the movies by themselves. I see most of the movies that I fucking see in theaters by myself, all right? Does that make me a weird person? Does that make me like a fucking like odd like introvert that deserves to be mocked? No. I have self-respect to say that I'm more cultured than most of my friends, and I like to go see weird independent dramas and shit like that. You know, and I like to go see movies on Thursday nights, and you know, whenever a big Marvel movie or something comes out, I'll go see it with coworkers or something. But you know, I what can I say, man? I'm a big film fan, and I see a lot of movies by myself because that's the only way I can get to see so many movies. So fuck you, movie. Fuck you. Fuck you for that gag about the Dragon. That to me was almost more offensive than anything else in the whole movie. That whole gag about the guy at the movies by himself.
You might need to refresh me on that one a little bit because
It's at the very end of the movie where they're like rallied together in the movie theater, and then and Will Ferrell says something like, "All right, we're all together with our families," and then the one guy's like, "Well, actually, I came alone," and then Will Ferrell stops the movie dead in his tracks. He's like, "Oh, well, okay, well, that's a little weird and sad."
Okay, I got you. I'm sorry. Now I got it.
Fuck you, movie. Fuck you. Genuinely, fuck you. Honestly.
Wow, that's some fury there, folks. That's a lot of film.
No, I'm sorry, man. That really got to me. That really did. It's like mocking someone with social anxiety or something. You know what I mean? It's bullying. I did not like that gag at all.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry. I need to get on my high horse about that shit for a minute.
Wow. Let me say this. Just one thing I want to just we're talking about the $20,000 tree. I gotta tell you, it does look nice. The kind of the satellite turn kind of Christmas tree. It's kind of a nice big tree.
Yeah, it still doesn't excuse the whole like upper class. Like, all right, this isn't even gonna phase our budget at all.
That's true, but again, better than what they did in the first movie. Which again, I don't mean to keep going back to the well, man. I'm just kind of like, they take something away from watching that first movie. I just want to say, at least the second one was better than what that first movie was presenting me with.
Fair enough.
But yeah, and Sarah's a lot better too. I guess that's about all I got for the. All right. Okay, let's talk about some favorite moments.
All right, who goes first in this? Who's first chronologically?
I guess, I guess me.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so I love so we have the mirror gag. I think is really funny. Where Brad and Dusty are having a moment where again, this to me felt like classic Will Ferrell, Mark Whalberg comedy. This is just really funny. This was so reminiscent of the other guys, and what I love about these guys being paired together, where they have this set piece where they're basically at an angle, and it's really well directed when you really think about it, just to get it just like this. It's communicated really just right. There's a mirror on a post, and Brad's trying to make a really heartwarming point here. It says, "Dusty, the only person who can ruin Christmas is staring right back at you in that mirror." And basically, from the angle he's standing at, it's Brad's face. Well, Brad, all I see is you. Oh, right. Well, it moves him over there. Again, it's a mirror thing. He's still just seeing Brad. Brad, still you. Then he removes the mirror. Okay, just forget the mirror. Okay, forget the mirror exists. Okay, of course, by the end of the scene, he's like, I'm just going to...
It's just a simple, nice little bit of funny dialogue and chemistry between the actors. It's, it's nothing fancy, but it's a nice, memorable bit.
He's like saying, okay, I'm going to put this mirror somewhere else. Just even while it's on the ground, so I'm going to move this. This thing's just nothing but undercutting my point here. I'm just going to think... All right, so then I think my favorite gag in the whole movie is the thermostat meeting. So the thermostat is a running gag in various things, but the thermostat thing, it's a time-tested, honored dad thing. And I think it's so appropriate in this movie, and I love it gets all four of our guys together here. So the thermostat gag, classically, fathers, the guys who paid the gas bills and the energy bills and such and so on and so forth, they're very testy and very, very specific about, what degree the thermostat's on, like how long do we keep it on. The point is they're very, very protective of the thermostat. I love seeing that. We've seen that time and time again. Like sometimes been on Family Guy in the early good seasons of Family Guy. Someone touched the thermostat. It's an age old, it's a cliche, but here I love that we kind of gave the cliche.
I'm sure Archie Bunker has done that gag at some point in his life.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, meathead, did you touch the thermostat?
Yeah, something, and you've probably seen this at some point, somewhere. Some idea.
In almost every sitcom with a blue-collar dad, probably.
Most likely. And that's the thing. I like seeing kind of the cinematic, kind of funny version of that with like all four of our leads here, who are all fathers, just kind of having a very unified front about the thermostat, having a really serious conversation about something so mundane and so silly. Where it's Kurt waking Don up. Hey Don, wake up! It's the thermostat. And they're all just unified. They've been bickering through the whole movie, and they're all unified against Dusty about it. Wait, you let the kids touch the thermostat? Like, what about you, Brett? No, it's like the most holy thing. We don't let anyone touch the kids touch the thermostat. It's this hilarious, inane, stupid conversation, but it's just given such dramatic legs, and it's treated like such a serious matter, and I love it. Okay, I guess lastly, briefly, I love the idea of Don and Kurt are going to Vegas at the end of the movie, which I think is really nice, pairing those two guys together and it's showing the growth on Kurt, where he's kind of befriended Don. Like, everybody likes Don, even Kurt. He's grown to love Don by the end of the movie. So that's nice, but primarily I love the big "I love you" scene in the movie theater, where you're wondering how the heck is Dusty, and Dusty's putting his foot in his mouth here with he was called Adrian a little nightmare before. Like, Dusty, I don't know how he's coming back with his family dynamics. Roger, after this whole incestuous, incestuous,
Roger has like every right to just completely disown these people.
He does, and I wouldn't blame him. Like, I don't know if that would necessarily be the final straw, but it would definitely put a huge dent in the straws. It would be definitely like saw through like 80% of the straw. I don't know if it would be like the end all be all, let's sign the papers right now, buddy boy. But I'm saying, like, that would definitely be like, I think we have a case here, guys. Like, something like that. But in all seriousness, the "I love you" scene where Mark Whalberg, he just kind of walks up to Adriana. He kind of says a really nice, reassuring thing. It does show character growth, and everyone's reaction. The scene is quite on point, where he's saying, "Adriana, I'm going to say something to you. You're not going to like, but I'm going to say it to you because it's true. I love you." And of course, and Roger's so touched. He's like, "Wait, what did you say to my daughter?" I told her I love you. I haven't done that enough. Again, the whole thing, Dusty being unable to say the words "I love you," and again, being the moral form is really nice. Then he says it to Roger. He says, "Roger, I love you too." And he's just like, "No, you take that back." Just, "No, I love you." Everybody heard it. I can't take it back. And everybody's like on the side. They're all involved, and Brad and his father like crying and tearing up on the side. Like, "Oh man, he's hitting me where I live, man." It's a great scene. It's a nice uplifting scene.
Okay, so I guess we'll get into mine. So briefly, Dragon, the bowling scene just kind of hit me because I am definitely one of those people, like, to this day, I need the goddamn bumpers. I always please fucking get the ball in the lane, Dragon. Always. I am like, I can totally relate to the pent up frustration of this kid. And then I don't know, Dragon, like, let's just say you've seen me at some low moments in my life, over the years we've worked together. And, the kid, like, kind of flailing on the ground, just like, "I'm terrible at everything." Drake, like, that's me, man. That's me. That's like a good combination of depression and anxiety just working its way into my little heart. You know what I mean?
I gotta tell you, I wasn't crazy about that scene.
Well, like I said, I like it just because I can totally see myself in it, especially how I would act as a little kid.
I mean, the thing his reaction isn't what gets me about that scene. What gets me about the scene is then we rally everyone for knocking down the one pinch. It just feels kind of pathetic for me. He's just
okay. That was pathetic, and what was also pathetic was the again, Dragon. This movie does have some kind of mean-spirited moments. You know, the going alone in the movie theater is one of the mean-spirited moments I'm talking about. But the other one is that jerk kid he kind of reminds me of like the 6-foot turkey kid from the Jurassic Park. You know, he's just like, hey, look, everybody, this kid's about to bowl a perfect 0.
Yeah, that
guy. But like I said, you know, I do find it relatable. You know, that's why I do like this scene. Okay, funniest scene in the movie by far is the. I'll agree with you that the manger makes no sense. Why they make such a big deal out of it? I'll agree with you there. But oh my god, Megan getting drunk off of eggnog is fucking hysterical.
And this is what I'm talking to. This girl is so talented. I love it when this girl pops up and thinks she's so funny.
And I don't even have much to say about it. I like how they kind of built it up through the course of the movie. But of course, the one moment that does really sell it is pancakes, bitches!
Really good drunk acting. And of course, like Will Ferrell's reactions too. Like, you're a mean drunk.
Pancakes, bitches. Yeah. I hyped up the pancakes, bitches thing to you before you saw the movie, I think.
Yeah.
Really funny stuff. And then let's see, I forgot one.
The hunting scene was really funny.
Yes. Oh yeah, and then the third moment, Dragon, I do really like the the final note that this movie goes out on with Sully, just because it's so random.
Again, he's
a national hero and he's a badass and everything, but you really don't expect to see him. Like, of all people, it's like, Sully, okay, that's unexpected, but all right, I'll go with it. All right. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, well, yeah, that's a very respectable father figure right there. And I like how Mark Wahlberg's just geeking out about, like, we saw that movie like 2 weeks ago. It was awesome. Oh yeah, Tom Hanks and Aaron Eckhart. I really like that movie.
See, Tiki, that whole scene, that's the other guys to me. In the writing, the movie gleams the other guys, like what they're hoping, the whole franchise, they're hoping for those other guys moments, and so rarely do you get them. And this is like, that scene is like, that feels like the other guys' caliber of scene, of like just this conversation about a random thing, and they're both like dialed into it so perfectly, and then one of them has an over the top reaction, the other one's like, no, don't react that way. Why? It's great that he reverts to the man child. He's running away. You only have one good story. My dad has 100.
That was great.
That's perfect. I thought the movie ended on a perfect note with that.
All right, and that's it, Dragon. So now we just have to ask the daring question before we go out. How does it hold up?
Well, I think
not great.
Yeah, well,
it's certainly better than Why Him. I think we can both agree to that. It's certainly better than Why Him.
Why Him, I like half of Why Him, and the half I like is the Bryan Cranston half. That's the half I like about it. But yeah, I do. But in regards to this movie, I think it uses the Christmas setting well. In regards to the Christmas thing of it all, I think it uses the setting well. It's a story about the step-family dynamic. It's about the step-family dynamic you don't always see. Apparently, there's the new movie that does a good job at showing it better, so I'll take your word on that. But
the new movie isn't really a step-family dynamic. It's more of a foster parent dynamic, which is different. But
okay, well, regardless, with the blended step-family dynamic, it's something you don't always see, so it's kind of appreciated to kind of see something about that here. It's an improvement over the first movie. It's fun. But it's not perfect by any stretch. It falls into the same trappings of a studio comedy. It's missing the good writing, but it trusts the actors, which gives. Basically, I think that carries them far enough, and then they're hoping the holiday, setting kind of carries them the rest of the way. And I think it kind of does that to an extent, but it really doesn't do as much as I would have preferred. So it's kind of it's almost like a half and half thing, but it's like, it's definitely, it's like a turn your brain off sort of thing in a good way. It's like, it's kind of for a fun holiday laugh. Not necessarily something you want to put on every Christmas. Like, yeah, if it's set around the holidays, yeah, good.
It's a good one where it's like if you're flipping through the channels and you see it's on, it's like, oh, all right, why not? Why not?
Yeah. So why not? Not a why him.
Oh, God.
All right. At all?
I think so.
Well, kids, time to dash away, dash away, dash away all. But as we wave goodbye, don't you cry. We'll be back again next time.
With even more seasonal shenanigans, bitches!
La 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 la.
La, la,
La
la,
la
la.
la.
Pancakes! Pancakes!